All right, Rhodesia, I let you off the hook easily last time. It has been days now.
Oh, God.
We going right back to it.
This.
Jada Pinkett Smith, you've had time now to see some things over the last few days, and she ain't stopped talking since. I think she said like today she was a drug kingpin or something, selling crack. Jada Pinkett Smith. Rhodesia, give me your take on Jada Pinkett Smith.
I just feel like you just completely is like throwing me under the bus right now. Like you did not prepare me for this.
Don't need to. We want you real. That's why people deal with us. They know we're going to give it up the way we see it. And you got off way too easy last time. Last time you acted like you ain't know what I was talking about. Now there's no way you don't know what Jada Pinkett Smith has done over these last few days. Rhodesia, give it up on Jada Pinkett Smith.
Man, okay. I'm a feminist. I'm gonna hit you with the proverbial butt. But this one is a little bit tough. I know there's always two to three sides to every story. So who knows? I even said I felt like Will Smith is a very controlling guy, like massively controlling. And I remember watching a documentary, maybe when he was turning 50, he had mentioned something like, I'm never getting married again. I'm never getting divorced again. And could Jada be doing all this because she wants a divorce? I don't know. Point is, what I've seen about Jada is just is really low. I'm sorry, Jada. That's really low.
There you
really,
go.
Really
You just
low.
want the real. That's all.
It. But there's so much to this, and this all could just be a stunt. They could have all been planning this for years. I'm saying though, this could all be for years.
Maybe
all publicity is good publicity for them.
Nah, not.
Hey, I'm gonna say this right now, man. Will Smith, I need you on social media saying I want a divorce.
But then he might have to pay the alimony at that point.
Expeditiously, he needs.
Let him pay that money.
That's an evil.
Let him pay that money.
Jada Pinkett Smith, we don't want to hear from you no more.
No,
unless it's something just about you and your shortcomings in life. I don't want to hear it no more. So
then let's say if Will is like a bad guy in their relationship, and she's brought all that out, then now that would be evil. Everything that she's bringing out is about things about herself that makes him look less of a man. That's not really evil.
If he's
that's
evil,
messed up.
Says he's evil. No, she's just trying to evidently escape. The stuff she's telling us, we don't need to know this kind of stuff.
No, and that's wrong. That's like really, really wrong and petty. You don't do that to your partner. But like if she said, yeah, Will Smith beats me every Friday night after he drinks 2 bourbons, then what? Then would she be the bad guy?
She came out after that man slapped Chris Rock and ruined his entire career. He ruined my career and his career. That's how bad it was. She came out the next day. That's right. She came out the next day. I ain't some damsel in distress. I don't need protecting. So obviously she beating on Will at the crib.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, but then she should. Well, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's fair.
Like you was about to go hard.
I was about to go super hard. Yep, and then I realized, yeah, it registered what you were saying. Okay.
Oh man, all right. I just wanted you to just give it up at Jada Pinkett Smith is not a great person.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I said that what she's doing is really messed up.
Okay.
But I know that's my quote. That's what she is doing is pretty messed up. But we don't know the whole story. Because again,
hey, so we're revamping our Instagram page, and the headline today is Rhodesia says Jada Pinkett is trash.
It won't be the first that y'all change up with what I say. So go ahead. I live in it, right? I live in it.
We in episode 74, folks. TFW podcast. That's Freakin Wrestling. So we'll get to some wrestling talk. I'm your host Matt, joined by my co-hosts Eshaun and Rhodesia. Shout out to all our listeners out there, all of our supporters. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. You guys know the socials. That's FNW across Instagram, across Twitter, YouTube. That's Freakin Wrestling. That's where we put our full videos up throughout the week. There you go. We got a lot to get into from just the last few days. Let's start with SmackDown. And Rhodesia, I'm going to give you this one because I think E asked a few weeks ago, like, who's your favorite wrestler? You gave him the die-line treatment about Roman. Roman. Tribal Chief is back. He is back in action. And I got to say, like, you can just feel the energy when he's back. That was just an awesome show. You know, and I think that show is probably just a microcosm of why WWE is so big. When you look at Jay, Cody, LA Knight, it was just so much star power on SmackDown. But energy definitely shifts when the tribal chief is around. Rhodesia, take it away.
I'm gone for just a couple of days, and I'm hearing the GOAT name being swung around. You ain't the GOAT. Man, Roman is back. Roman is back. You know, he interrupts John Cena. Tells him, you ain't the GOAT, I'm the GOAT. Back up. And what did Cena do? He bowed down and acknowledged Roman.
Roman said, we've been here before. We know how this ends. Let's go. Let's go, Roman.
Then we see the standoff, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time they've been face-to-face, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns since Mania?
Since the night after WrestleMania.
And that to me was like, holy moly. So I do have two sets of questions here. The first question I want to ask, I got the goosies when I saw Roman and Cody standing face-to-face. Do y'all feel like finishing the story is still just Cody going for the title and winning? Or for me, after what I saw, I feel like finishing the story is Cody winning the title off of Roman after what I saw on SmackDown. What are y'all thoughts on that?
Go ahead, man. I want to hear from non-Cody fans. I want to get in y'all brain and see where y'all at right now.
He said non-Cody fan. You keep going with this, but hey, that's your gimmick. We'll take it. We will absolutely take that. We talked about it previously that the story was the championship, but things change when you can write your own story. And after that standoff, and all it was to see, this is what I talk about when I talk about presentation and I talk about stories. They did nothing but stand face to face, and it was months since we've had it, and it felt like the biggest thing that could have possibly ever happened in wrestling. Just them going eye to eye with Nick Aldis right there, telling them not tonight, guys. And you got them face to face. You got Jimmy and Jay face to face in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you are painting beautiful pictures of how to promote wrestling or anything of the matter. But after seeing that, you're like, no, the story is Cody beating Roman for the title. That's the story now. And then you could argue and say that was the story previously, but before it was all about just, hey, he wants the championship, Roman's holding it. Now I think with everything that's going on, if you include he's tagged with Jay now, if you just include all of that, now the story is to beat the tribal chief for the championship.
Yep, I'm all for it. I'm invested in the story. I know we had kind of a little bit of a format before the show. We're just going to kind of throw that out a little bit because this is one of the things I want to talk to you guys about. Was this last moment of SmackDown? I thought it was great storytelling, and as you said, Matt, they didn't do anything but stare at each other, and then get broke apart, right? And that was like a big, huge emotional investment moment. In that you're thinking like, all right, possibly are we getting Cody and Roman at Mania? We talked about Rock, we talked about CM Punk, but look, I want to see Cody and Roman. I want to see it sooner than later. Jimmy and Jay, they gotta make me feel this story. I still don't want to see them bros go at it. Like, I feel like I want to see them hug more so than fight at this moment for me. Mm-hmm. But just to see that moment that they had at that end of the show just spoke volumes to me. And when we talked about like an NXT show and an AEW show, we talked about stories and stories matter. Like, this is one of those times when stories matter, because just that little seed right now, it was like big for me.
Did you think we were going to get it? Like, when you saw the way the show was set up, were you really confident we were going to get some type of interaction with Cody and Roman?
You know, more so than Cody and Roman, and this is kind of like the story threads throughout the show that I love that WWE does. I was looking for interaction with Jay and the Bloodline. Like, they on the same show, they got to interact at some moment, right? So yeah. I was distracted by Jay interacting with the Bloodline. So like when Cody popped up too, I mean, it makes sense too, right? Because Cody's with Jay. But like, that was the thing I was looking for, was Jay interacting with the crew to see where he's at. Look, I'm a champion right now, and
without y'all,
Solo Jimmy, he ain't. Like, right? How is Jimmy going to feel about him being a champion, a tag team champion with somebody else? So that was the thing is I was kind of playing out in my mind.
So we're talking about championships, and I would be remiss to say, like, I remember how angry I was when Brock was the champion, and I was like, he'll never show up. He doesn't defend his title, blah, blah, blah. I look back at Roman 2023 numbers, and he's had 7 title defenses for the Universal Championship. 3 were like WWE live events, and so really only 4 championship bouts that we've seen for him. And so I think back at the wrestlers, like the big wrestlers, like your Hogan in the mid 80s to 90s. I had to look that up because I wasn't watching then. You look at Brock, you look at Cena in 05. And they are similar as far as how many title defenses they had. So I do have 2 questions for y'all. So the first one is, do you think it's really important that your main champion have many title defenses? And then number 2 is, if you are a workhorse champion of the main title, are you doing something wrong?
I would like my champion defend more than I'm seeing like Roman or Brock. Maybe not as much as Seth. And I don't think Seth, like, I guess I'm kind of used to seeing the champion on every pay-per-view, because that's what we got for years and years. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be every pay-per-view, to be honest with you. Just more often. Like, right? Like for me, you know, Roman, we haven't seen him or his championship in months. Like for me, that's not great. Like, and for some reason, this feels like I see Roman less than Brock did back in the day. And I don't know why I feel that way. But this isn't ideal for me as a fan to see the championship so inactive.
And I think too, he made a comment. He said, "You came back because I was on my leave."
Yeah, he did.
Roman
say
said that to Cena, which tells me then that that's the longest he's gonna be gone for. And if we remember, the week of Mania, there was that report that came out that Roman was about to be taking some extended time off. When I first read that, I was like, well, he's gone anyway whenever he needs to be a storyline or whatever he's got going on. Maybe this was what they were talking about back then. And it wasn't he's going to lose the title and be gone, because he was gone for like a straight almost 2 months. Actually, it was 2 months. Last time we saw him was the week after SmackDown, which was the 1st of August. He just came back. So he was gone for a full 2 months. I think Roman is at such a different level than everybody else in wrestling, and part of that is due to his mystique. Because he is gone. Roman wouldn't be nearly as special if we saw him at this point every few weeks. He wouldn't be. The story wouldn't be. So I don't think that it takes away, but he will always generate more popularity and more interest because he is not around every single week. Now, he could be around much more often, just not work on TV, and maybe we only see him on pay-per-views, because that's kind of what we used. That's what used to happen.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Flair used to work a lot, but it was nowhere near the level of like what Hogan would work. Hogan only worked pay-per-view on TV. Yeah, they worked.
It was as many back then too.
Yep, but the IC champ was the champ that was main eventing the shows. So your Macho Mans, your Ricky Steamboats, your Ultimate Warriors, your Rick Rudes, those were the guys that, if you want to talk about your workhorses, those were your Seth Rollins back then. Those were your Gunthers back then.
So are they doing something wrong?
No, no, they're not doing anything wrong. You're just not in that spot. There's only a room for one top guy. And then you got your 4 or 5, you know, we want to use the AEW words, pillars after that. And then that's kind of just how their setup is. But if we look at Roman, it's how Special Friday was, and they popped another monster number in terms of ratings. Every segment he was in was super important because he hadn't been around for 2 months. And now that he's going to be around much more often, because they said we got Saudi, we got Rumble, we got Mania, we'll see now how that plays itself out, just in terms of the importance of him, and still, does he have that charisma that we know of him to have? But you can't deny, when he's on screen, when he's at TV, it's a different energy.
Yeah,
and it's different than with Brock, right? Because Brock would come and he would show up at 8 o'clock on Raw, stand behind Heyman. Heyman would do talking for him, and he was gone at 8:15. So yeah, his presence brought something. It was important, but Brock himself didn't bring much to the presentation. Heyman was the presentation. With Roman, it's not that way. Roman brings a lot more to him when he does show up.
You know, I'm actually kind of against seeing the top stars shoveled out in every single segment. I think a nice balance would be how Roman was booked maybe a year or so ago. Right? You saw him a couple times a month, right? Not every week. He wasn't defending the championship on every PLE, but he had a presence for that month. right? You saw him maybe like once or twice a month, just enough to kind of give you a taste, like, right? But he always left you wanting more. And so we can get back to that. If this is just like a little break, this as long as he's going to be gone, fine. But I like to see him get back to how he's booked maybe like a year ago.
So I got a question for you, E. This is different than what you wanted from AEW. For AEW, I said how I liked their booking style because you didn't see, just say Miro, but we know he's like way off the beaten path. We didn't see Miro every single week. We would see Miro every 2-3 weeks, and you would be like, no, I want to see those stars every week to like build more momentum and things of that nature. What's different with Roman where you're like, hey, I don't need to see Roman every week. If we can get Roman twice a month, I'm cool with that, opposed to like when we were having those AEW conversations months and months ago where you're like, no, I want to see Kenny Omega every single week on TV.
I think, as I said, well, as you said, Roman's like kind of a step up.
Okay.
Like, he's almost like a special attraction right now to me. And I think like Andre Giant was back in the day, like a special attraction. I kind of feel like it's one of them things to where it's kind of like that meal or that treat that you love. Mm-hmm. But you can't get it all the time, right? Like you can only get it, certain seasons, or maybe you can only get it certain times of the week. You can't get it every day, right? But there's certain things that you need every single day, right? I would say like your main superstars that draw and bring people in the building and put eyes on television, those are the guys that you should focus on every single week, and everybody else should be a rotating door. Everybody else, so let's say you got like, 3 guys. Those are your 3 guys that you build your program around. So your storylines, your threads, go through those guys, right? And then if you got somebody that's underneath them, if they start getting some traction, then that's how you start moving people in and out. Like, right? And that's how it was kind of back in the day. You had those kind of guys that were at the tippy top, and then everyone else kind of moved around. Everyone was kind of fighting to get to that tippy top, right? So he can get to those main threaded slots. So that's kind of what I look for. I kind of expect from AEW. I don't think AEW has anybody that's like a special attraction on their show that's warrant, for like a Miro. Like Miro, I haven't seen Miro in a while. Maybe he has. I may have been fast forwarding too much. I think Lana's been on one a couple of times. That's cool.
Miro's been on too. He was on last night on Collision. Yeah, you probably fast forward through that, I'm sure. And we gonna get to I cut it off at some point. That's what I cut it off. But yeah, we're gonna get to your Collision thoughts, buddy.
Yeah, so I think there's special attractions. I think you got your special attractions, which Roman is, and then you got your stars like a Cody, like a Seth. LA Knight's becoming right now. Woo! Let's talk about that LA Knight. And you guys had the nerve to have a conversation say, is it too much too soon for LA Knight? Good Lord, you hear that? That man's a spot. Oh my God.
I still think that.
Man,
because my thought is because we know he's losing. So when I say too much too soon, I mean, okay, you put him in there against Roman in Saudi, he loses. Does that hurt him more than it helps him?
We talked about this too. We talked about the good showing. That's what this world is built around right now. The good showing.
Telling you, that's like potential.
Somebody else had a good showing this week. I think we talked about it already because our last show, we've seen all the wrestling before.
It was a women's
match,
I think.
Somebody else had a good showing. I'm just like, I'm tired.
Because you guys sat and told me almost a year ago that it was okay for Cody to lose. You actually were rooting for Cody to lose, right? This man got his family. He got his baby in attendance. Then that applies to your LA Knight situation, sir. Yeah, sure. That applies to LA Knight. If he loses, yes. If they build it correctly, if they build the house, it will support the story.
That's a good analogy. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know.
I don't think it compares on the same level.
Yeah.
Because Cody had a lifetime of wrestling, 15 years of wrestling, and telling this story.
Y'all didn't care about that during the story. Now y'all bringing up the 15 years of the story. Y'all didn't care about none of that.
Don't change my narrative on Cody. It's always been, I did not want him winning the title right now. I've always said that. I've never been a Cody hater. I love Cody.
No, you guys are saying that he didn't do enough.
Oh, because I said he didn't deserve it. In WWE, if I'm watching just WWE and he came back, I don't know the story that he went on his independence tour and helped find AEW before then. He comes back and all of a sudden you win the Rumble and then now you win the championship. That is too soon. Absolutely too soon. But I don't think that is too soon like how LA Knight is. Because at that point, Cody, what y'all call him, he's ironclad steel. He's bulletproof at this point. He's titanium. He's vibranium. Cody losing at WrestleMania, to me, again, because I was okay with that storyline, it didn't affect him as far as tearing him down. LA Knight losing, that'd be one more thing. That's what possibly
depending on. I mean, I guess we know he's not going to beat him clean. So there's gonna be some type of, because Roman doesn't beat anybody clean. So there's gonna be some type of interference in that. We guess they just gotta be careful.
You guys gotta think about it. You think about Cody's story. Cody came from being below the mid card when he was in the company the first time, coming back to being on top of the mid card. So the history we're talking about, like him being top guy, Cody has only been for a year. Like, right? It's the same trajectory as LA Knight. LA Knight is just now getting to that tippy top. Actually, if you think about it, he's actually been clawing his way to the top, right? So would it kind of make sense for him to, on his first go round, win the championship? Or would it make more sense that this is part of his continuing struggle to evolve and get better and then eventually become the champion?
But LA Knight is not as bulletproof as Cody Rhodes.
Well,
so that comparison, I can't say that.
Win the championship, but you say eventually, we know Cody's probably next. So that eventually is probably a long time.
Exactly.
No, we got two championships now, though. Like we want.
I think Drew going at Seth. I think Drew.
Because
I think Drew is going to Seth
anymore. Right.
But here's the thing, though. Well, let's continue with that, right? If Drew does win and beat Seth, which I hope, I'm not for the Seth champion. I'm not sure what's going on with Seth. I like Seth. Not his run right now.
It's Shinsuke. He's had 2+ months in a feud where you know he's not going to lose. That hurts. That hurts the title holder.
But let's say Drew wins the championship, right? And now we got a 6-month build to LA Knight versus Drew for the championship.
I'm here for that. No, that would be fun.
I'm okay with that too. Yep. I'm okay with that.
Fun.
Let go.
That would be really good. That'd be really good. It was something you just said that piqued my interest. You were talking about, we were talking about the Cody thing. And it's only a moment. It's only a moment, and it's the moment that hasn't paid off yet. But when I see Cody lost at Mania, and then we fast forward to, that's how high I was on this moment. To me, this was like a moment of the year. And this is not hyperbole. That stare down between them two, we don't get that if Cody wins. We don't get that if he didn't struggle over the last 6 months, 7 months, whatever. But like, because we know we're going to see that screenshot on all the video packages leading up to Mania or the Rumble. I thought that highly of the end of SmackDown, of that look, because that's what it's all about. That feud is, it's like, all right, man, fuck it, put in night 2 at Mania. Now, like, I'm sold now. Like, Rock, stay home, dude. You had your chance.
No. I'm telling you, I'm liking what I think he said was Brandon James on Twitter said.
Yeah.
Like, I like Roman, Cody at Rumble. I like that one. And Cody going into Mania with the championship.
See, it looks like we're not getting CM Punk. To hell with it. Let's hot shot Roman and Cody at Survivor Series.
Woo!
So we can be in attendance.
Okay.
We do War Games, and that's when like The Rock shows up. I don't know. Let's book that damn territory just around Chicago shows. That sounds good to me.
Or Detroit, right?
Hey, speaking of, you know my birthday's this week?
It's a week from today.
It's on Sunday, right? Sunday?
A week from today.
Okay, so it's Sunday. I thought, to show you just how like I've completely been disconnected, I thought my birthday was in like 2 weeks. I was told like this weekend my birthday is like now. It's coming up next week. And Bound for Glory is this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll talk about it kind of real quick on just Wednesday. But I do think that they need a little bit more like spotlight on them. All the drama that's been going on in wrestling, they just continue to put on good shows. The show is now sold out for Bound for Glory. I looked at the card, and of course I don't watch weekly, but looking at the card, I'm like, this is a damn good card. So I got to find like a, pre-show or something to get invested into the stories behind it. But that looks like an awesome card they put together for this year's Bound for Glory.
Hey, well, let's keep going on SmackDown. I had a couple more things I want to talk to you guys about. I'm going to bring up Jade really quick because the next little hit I have, I think we can spend more time on. Man, she looked great again. I feel like every time I see her on these shows, I'm like, damn, she looks better than she did last week. She looks better than she did last show. Man, and the build they're doing with her is phenomenal. right? Like, I don't know how many. I would be interested to know how many more Twitter followers she's accumulated since joining the WWE and after all these different shows. I'll be very interested because whenever, we said in a personal chat together, I said, hey, whenever, she's ready to go in the ring, like, she needs to be ready, because I feel like that I'm thinking her build they're doing with her is that high that I want to see her come out in her first match, whenever that is. It don't have to be tomorrow, it has to be next week or next month or 2 months, whenever that is. She needs to be ready to go, because I think that they got her hot right now, and I think she's hotter right now than she's ever been in her 2 years or whatever it was in AEW. That's no shot against them. That's just on how smart they've been booking her right now. They got her interacting with all the stars. They got her mingling all the big wigs. Like, she's gonna be a big deal, y'all.
And you have Triple H. I say little poor Triple H because he looks shorter than her, over in her corner, just smiling, Kool-Aid smile, ear to ear. Woo. On SmackDown. He's a proud papa.
Let's keep going with Triple H though. So Matt,
real quick.
Oh, you got the question?
No, I was looking. Yeah, she's at 256 right now. 256,000. I thought she was in her 200s with AEW, so it's not as big of a spike as I thought she would have had. But I'm big in the moment, and I popped hard when Charlotte turned around and Jade was standing there.
Yep. I didn't expect that.
And then you got to Rhodesia's point, Triple H come in that shot and just smiling. And like, we know. And that's the kind of stuff that's like awesome for me and for us being like insider wrestling fans, where we know everything that's going on. I know you about to bring up something about Triple H. He does, and this may sound like I'm capping on this episode for WWE, but whatever. I was super high on SmackDown. We got the word, we'll talk about this too, that Vince is no longer part of creative at all. Cool, whatever. You could feel it on the shows. Even down to Triple H being in the ring with Dom, and he goes, man, I thought that sound was piped in. That's like a wink and a nod to like the internet wrestling community. It's not over the top to where like an entire segment is insider and people who don't know is like lost and confused, and now they got to go do research, but it's just enough to where you're like, oh, they watch, they see, they talk, they read what we're talking about, and they use it in just enough to where it's like, oh, that was cool. Like, I just wanted to shout that out. I thought that was awesome. But Jade and Charlotte, that was another moment. That was moment number 2 of that show, where I'm like, damn, this is gonna feed generations when they finally get together.
For sure. And you know what? The one thing I was about to go past it, but you remind me of it, is when Jade and Charlotte were head to head, looking at each other right in their eyes, right? Because that just shows how big Jade is. Because Charlotte is huge in comparison to the rest of the girls, right? And you really saw it on SmackDown when damn it, Rhodesia, you women running in them darn gold heels, man. Like, I feel like she's about to bust her butt for 1 second, but she got to the ring, okay. But her to go from the top of the ramp all the way downhill in some heels in the ring.
We're superheroes in heels. We're superheroes.
I would have died. I don't know how y'all do it.
You did the Titus O'Neil. You would roll.
Oh man, I don't know. I would have made it to the ring. I would have rolled. I would have at the top of the ramp. I would have been rolling down.
While Matt's looking at something.
Yeah, because he brought up the whole thing about Jay being the biggest deal she's been. Go ahead, Rhodesia. I'll find it and I'll let you know when I find it. But I saw an interaction that I really wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. So go ahead, and okay, I found it, but go ahead.
Maybe I shouldn't even say it, but this is probably me showing my age. When you say no capping means lying or telling the truth. No, yes. Telling the truth or no. Okay. Wait, hold on. Yes to what? Because I asked 2 questions there. Capping is what?
Both.
Huh?
Both.
See, don't do that. It's lying.
All right,
okay, so no capping is no lying. Okay.
Somebody said on Twitter, in the span of 3 weeks, WWE made Jade feel important when Tony Khan couldn't do it in 2 years. And
that's not fair.
They clipped it with the face-to-face, okay?
That's not fair.
Somebody quote tweeted it and said, Jade first appeared calling out Cody Rhodes. She then made her first wrestling appearance teaming with Shaq. After that, she went on a Goldberg streak, holding the TBS title for over a year. Last night, she walked up to somebody and said, hi, I'm begging for some perspective.
Yeah,
now,
that was not fair.
This person is an absolute AEW pro fan and anti WWE fan that quote tweeted that. But we say that because we've said that too. Like when she showed up at the pay-per-view and then she showed up on NXT and now the Charlotte, and it's like she feels like a much bigger deal already than she has in AEW. But then when you look at it in context of what she did, how can we argue that? How can we argue that that's not the case?
Argue that. Well, see, you got the machine behind you, so that's already taking you out of this conversation to begin with. But they absolutely made Jade a big deal. They absolutely did. They being AEW. But of course, when you're talking about a company that's been around for decades and a company that's been around at that time 2.5 years, that's the best that they could do at the time. So that when you first read the first part of that tweet, or what is it called? Tweet still on X? Their statement.
I think it's called messages, maybe.
Okay, the messages on it. That was not. That was unfair. A very unfair question. The X's. That was a really unfair question. Comment.
No, like you just said, like AEW did the best they could. I think they did more for Jade than a lot of their talent.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it. They really they protected her as much as they could with the skill set that they had and the promotional vehicle that they had. They did as much as they could for that woman. They did right by Jade.
Mm-hmm.
But Jade, she's in a whole different ball game now. Like, I hate to say it, it's kind of like you go from, I guess, I don't think college ball is even a good analogy because you can make stars in college now. And
you're not about to say it. You're not about to call them high school football.
I got the finger on the button. Don't do it, but do it. Don't do it.
No, don't do it at all. Don't do it at all. Let's keep moving.
I don't want to do that. They just did the best they could. WWE is a whole nother level.
You just said we out here to tell the real. We finally got Rhodesia to say Jada is a trash person.
My God.
You know what I'm saying? And you out here, you don't want to give it up and say exactly what you think. But
here's one. I'm trying to look for a nice analogy. I think it's like CW superheroes versus Marvel Studio superheroes.
But the CW, when I first started watching in the beginning, I don't know what has happened after that. I used to say, man, DC could put on great TV shows. They just did terrible movies. So I think in the beginning, the CW shows was really good.
No, I'm a CW guy. I think for the most part, CW was good. It was a great run. But, because of budgets, because of technology, they can only do so much. They maximize what they can do. That's why I said with Jade, they maximized her what they can do. But Marvel Studios is something totally different. But hey, let's keep going with the Triple H thing because you kind of brought it up, and I have a question for you. Because I think you were a Triple H guy, right, Matt?
Oh yeah, I was huge.
So Triple H had a couple of themes, and they've been playing the King of King theme for him. I don't like that theme.
That's the worst one. That's cool for now that he's an authority figure and but as a wrestler, it was the worst one. When you heard that, you're like, oh, this sucks.
It's a horrible. Okay, so I wasn't alone in that. I'm like, why do they keep playing this one? Because I thought Time to Play the Game was a much better theme. Come on, man.
Some could argue, and this is a good conversation to have. Maybe we'll do this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
If we had a Mount Rushmore of entrance music.
I love it.
Some could argue, it's not on mine, but some could argue that's a Mount Rushmore theme song.
With lyrics, that could be. Because I think you have two types. You have the one without lyrics, just instrumentation, and I think you have actual songs. We should do probably two Mount Rushmore.
He had two different versions of that song. Yeah. It was a great song for a trash wrestler. But
whoa,
yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. But going back to Dom, right?
You had to turn heel, didn't you?
Going back to Dom though. He mentioned the piped in sound. He was getting a reaction. Mm-hmm. And when Triple H mentioned about that piped in sound, I'm like, oh, that's not piped in? I just assumed it was. And I understand why they would, because it does for television, it makes for better TV. Right? I think it makes I don't mind the piped in sound because it does make for better TV for me. But he was like, oh, that's legit them in the crowd booing this man like that. And Dom just played into it so well. And then leading to the I'm trying to look for it. What do you say? Like the grand entrance of Nick Aldis, and he had that was like the worst entrance of like a new character I've ever seen. He just kind of appeared on the screen. And it was like really flat.
But you know why I like that? Because no one knows who Nick Aldis is. And when I say no one, I'm talking, of course we do. I'm talking WWE fans.
No, they don't know.
Don't make it a bigger, and he's not there to work. He's there to be an authority figure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it bigger than what it is. You already have Triple H bring you in. And what I thought was genius was the whole line to Dama, big fan of your dad. Well, now you've already endeared yourself to the WWE fans. So now I don't know you, but you're my guy.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that was all you needed. Because I was thinking about that, like when I saw him, and I didn't know what was going to happen. When I saw it, I was like, okay, that's cool. He's finally on TV. And I thought what you said, I was like, okay, he just kind of like walked out like from the crowd, it seems like, into the ring. But then I was like, but I like that because it wasn't a video package, or this is why you should really care about our new authority figure. It's not about the authority figure.
He's the boss. Yep.
The wrestlers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because like he kind of disappeared. I don't know if I actually looked away or something. I just turned my head.
Didn't. No,
and he just was there. And the crowd was like, who is this guy? And I get that they wouldn't know who he was because Nick Aldis, unfortunately, has never been on a big platform. Like, right? Because like he's never been on he's never on AEW TV. He was on Impact recently, but I mean they're only getting like 100,000 views or whatever it is on that show. Right? He was on NWA and people weren't really watching. That was years ago.
Yeah.
Like, right? Yeah. So they wouldn't know who he was. But did you guys know he was only 36 years old?
That sounds familiar to me.
I didn't think he was that old. So when the word
I thought he was
like,
no, I didn't think he was that young.
When the word came out that like he was coming on as a producer because of his age, and I'm like, he's not that old. He's got some tread on his, tires just because of how long he's been in the business, but he can still go. And I'm hoping
I thought he was like 45, 46.
Oh no.
See, I was gonna say 40. That's what I thought Nick Aldis was. I thought he was 40. Isn't he married to Mickey James?
Mickey James,
yeah.
And how old is she?
44.
Yeah, see, I'd probably thought they were a little closer in age, but
shout out to Nick. Getting the cougars out here.
Get a little something.
I like it, Nick. I like
she
it,
ain't she ain't no cougar. She a bad bitch. I don't use the B word, so I call her BISH bish. She a bad bitch.
She's a milk. But so then if you guys look at like Nick Aldis, and now he's gonna be the GM of SmackDown, and then they said Adam Pearce got a promotion.
Right, dude.
And I was like, wasn't he the GM of both?
He did the Roman manipulation on him. Yeah, he was like, you got a promotion.
A demotion? Not a promotion? But so now it looks like they got some plans for stories with, authority figures. For you guys, who's your favorite authority figure in wrestling history? TV authority figure.
So I can say face, I'm gonna say, can I pick an acting general manager?
Of course.
I'm gonna go with Baron Corbin. I want to get him on the show.
Shout out to Corbin. Hey, I forgot to tell the story. Real quick. So the week we were talking about NXT and Rhodesia went in on Corbin talking about he was old and all that. We clipped that and we put it on. You did. You said he was old. He was
I said stop.
Yep,
I said he was over the hill. I said in WWE. The best of him is already behind him. That is what I said.
We got the clips on.
No,
video,
you clipped it. You clipped it differently. You didn't even put the full context of what I was saying.
Out there. Anyway, so we're all having a conversation on there. He's like, "Hey, man, like Baron Corbin's the GOAT." Blah blah blah. Corbin sees it. Corbin responds and says, "If you kick her off, I'll be the new co-host on the show." And of course, he's like, "See you, Rhodesia." Yeah, I understand. I get it. I can't say that. Right? Because then, like, the household just wouldn't be what it is. And I told him as much. I said, hey, you're always going to be, like, an unofficial member of the pod, but, like, she's got to stay. He was like, I appreciate it. I respect it. So I forgot to mention that. But, yeah, so you can't try to get on his good side now, Rhodesia. You are already that person. So it's up to, like, me and E to keep that relationship flourishing. You're just the one that's, like, on the outside. Just like,
all right, so then I'm going to pick him.
When you first met him years ago.
No, they got on my bad side. They did it. They worked me. I was ready to smack them, but I'm like, no, I don't want to be banned from WWE forever. They worked me. FTR. Maybe that's probably why. Whatever.
You're going with Corbin as
no. Because you said that the relationship to nurture is between y'all two, not me and him. So I'm gonna probably go with. I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. I'm gonna go with William Regal down at NXT.
That was a good one.
That's a good one. Yep. Who you got?
I didn't actually know about this question beforehand, but off the top of my head, I'm going Jack Tunney.
Damn it. Y'all took both of mine.
Yeah.
There we go.
You about to pick Baron?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll make up another one. But so why do you say Jack Tunney for the folks that weren't watching back then?
You know what? To be honest with you, I think it's totally, nostalgia. Mm-hmm. He was my first ever authority figure. Like, right? I believed that he really ran the company. I had no idea who Vince McMahon was. He was announced back then. I thought Jack Tunney really ran the company. And he just was like this stoic, boring old man. And it all made sense that this stoic old man will be calling shots. And at the time, it was important. Like the decisions that he was laying down, in the tone. It's kind of like, when you were a kid and like your principal's talking. Well, back in the day, I don't think these kids care about authority figures nowadays. But back in the day, when you respected your authority figures, like, when the principal was talking, you shut up.
Yep.
And so, like, that's just for me, that was my first.
And now that was why that was my answer, was because when Jack Tunney came on camera, it was a big deal. He had to announce something about the championship or somebody got stripped and we doing something. Regal was the first authority figure that I felt like wasn't a gimmick. Right? Like you only saw him when it was decisions to be made and everybody respected him the way they should have. Like the wrestlers. So if I had to pick another one, it's not Teddy Long. The whole Taker thing is funny, but I wouldn't go with Teddy Long. Kurt Angle was pretty good, but he's not. I mean, you guys took my top two, so we can move on. So I don't want to just throw names out there. Yeah, I don't know.
I do want to bring one honorable mention because I hated her with Stephanie McMahon. When the alliance happened, or the breakup of the separation alliance, whatever the name of that whole situation was, I hated Stephanie McMahon. And I think everybody hated her. And it was just like so beautiful that somebody who wasn't a worker in the sense of a wrestler could get over that well.
Yeah. No, there was a few that, I mean, Vicky was in the spot.
Vicky was great.
Vicky was good.
Yeah,
Vicky was good.
Yeah, it was a lot of heel ones that you were like, all right, they get under our skin. Speaking of heels, I am sure, Eshaun, you were jumping for joy when the report came out this week from Sports Illustrated that as much as he can be, Vince is not connected at all to creative anymore. And this is a Triple H specific led show 100%.
Yeah, I got to like a couple little tweets here. It says multiple contacts within the WWE and UFC have confirmed that Amari, who wields power as Endeavor CEO, is behind the change of Triple H overseeing all creative and Vince McMahon no longer being directly involved within it. It says that Ari is a firm believer that in order for an organization to be as effective as possible, they need people to do their job as they are assigned. In this case, that approach has empowered Levesque to assert his full influence in the company's creative sphere.
Sounds like you hire people to do their job and you don't stick your nose in said job and change their said job every single day, every single hour, and sometimes while the actual job is still being done.
Ding, 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 ding.
What a concept.
What a freaking concept.
You hired me to do my job.
Let me do my job. Man.
When results are showing I'm doing my job well because every single metric is up. I don't need you meddling into it. And you could really feel that this week. And who knows, maybe this is just happenstance. But if you watch Raw this week and you see the Tegan Knoxes, you see the Johnny Gargano, like you see some of the people that really couldn't sniff TV time. And now like they're kind of in prominent roles on TV. It's like, oh, all right. Kind of got it. And then like so SmackDown I thought was fantastic. I thought it was a fantastic show. So now hopefully officially we can say if we see something that just doesn't work, now we can say, all right, Triple H and his team missed on that. And we can stop being like, damn, Vince must have showed up at 6:30 and the show starts at 7 to change the entire script of the show.
But I thought it was very interesting because UFC originally wanted Vince to be involved in this. They want him to play a role within the company. They want him kind of back within the company. And so for now, I was like, hey, we here. You know what? I know we said at first we wanted you to be heavily involved, but now we don't. Let Paul do his job, man. You step back and you do your thing. I feel like that's like I think it's a great call.
Yep.
I think it's a great call. But I had a question for you guys in thinking about this. Where would you rate Vince McMahon in your top bookers of all time? Okay, he's always been known as this booking genius, right?
Mm-hmm.
He created WWE and the vision that we have is all his baby, right? Where does he rank in your top wrestling bookers list?
Outside of my personal feelings of him, he's going to be number one. One, just the time behind it. I've watched way more WWE, WWF than any other promotions. John Cena, one of my favorites. Undertaker, my favorite. The Rock, my favorite. And now Roman Reigns. But you just look at what Vince has done. It has to be Vince for me. And don't cut that because I don't even want to promote that. I said that, but it is Vince.
No, it's not even close. He's 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I mean, we can go 1 through 50, and then 51 could be Heyman. Like, it's just the longevity and what we know pro wrestling as right now would not be a thing if it wasn't for Vince. Like, that alone, to me, is like, no, okay, he is the greatest of all time when it comes to this pro wrestling thing. Yeah, we hated a lot of his ideas and a lot of the stuff that he gave us on TV, probably for like the last 5, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then he would hit on something and it's like, damn, okay, he still got it when it comes to that. And I'm sure there was a lot more things, that little tweaks that he's probably done in a positive that we would never know about, and we just give it up to either the agent of that match or maybe the actual wrestler themselves. But it was like, oh no, that was Vince's call to have me just make that little bit of a shift that gained so much more in regards to either popularity or viewership or whatever the case may be. But yeah, for me, he's easily number one.
I think it's interesting to say if I can cut his reign in half from when he started the company. Well, he bought the company in the 80s, right? But for me, it was the rock and wrestling era, Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. Like the first maybe 15, 20 years, like he'll be number one. But the last like 10 or 12 years for me, he's like number 1,000. Because that same Vince McMahon and his booking drove me from not wanting to watch the show anymore. The only reason why I still watch wrestling really is because, we got so close, and like your passion for wrestling reinvigorated mine, and I have fun watching the shows with you. But I stopped watching Raw and SmackDown for about a good 2 or 3 years because I will follow it on social media. I will follow on YouTube. I stopped watching. The show just got so unwatchable for me. Monday Night Raw for years for me was just such a chore to get through.
It was a chore to watch. So if you don't have Vince number one, who do you have as the best booker of all time?
Well, see, if I can cut it in half, right? If I could take, Vince from the 80s.
No, you can't. You can't do that.
To the Ruthless Aggression era, he'll be number one, right? But when when the same man also drove me away from wrestling, like that man can't be in my top 10.
So who you got? Who was number one for you?
I thought about that. So I got Dusty Rhodes because I love me some NWA. I love like that 80s run.
All time. Wow. Okay.
That NWA run with him and the Horsemen, I loved it. Then I go Paulie Dangerously. Man, ECW was amazing. And then number 3, I'm going Triple H because like that black and gold era of NXT until now has really invigorated my love for wrestling. It's brought me back to SmackDown and Raw, right? Brought me back as a fan to SmackDown and Raw. So he got to be my top 3. So I'm going Dusty, Heyman, and Levick.
Rhodesia, who would be your 2 and 3?
Honestly?
Yep.
Line.
Right.
Well, again, so my sample size of bookers are what I'm about to pretty much WWE and Tony Khan. So you have Triple H and Black and Gold, but how many years was NXT that? So that'd be my number 2, Booker. And then the last year of what he's done in WWE. And then my third, didn't watch ECW like that, so I couldn't say Paulie. I know what he does now. He's a genius. I would have to go Tony Khan because again, that is what I'm watching. That's what I've watched. So that would be my 2 and 3. And I was trying to figure out the throw some shade at Dusty in a funny way though. even though it was WWE at the time. You talking about him booking. What is the guy? Why is his name leaving me? The funniest moment of WWE? Shockmaster. He's behind Shockmaster, so he got to take a little bit of egg on that.
No, he wasn't behind Shockmaster. He wasn't behind Shockmaster. Shockmaster wasn't him. I think he that was
he did.
No, that was Gene Anderson that was behind the Shockmaster.
Oh everything I heard, it was Dusty's gimmick.
No, that was Gene.
The Shockmaster.
I think Dusty was in WWE at the time too. Matter of fact,
you said he pushed him through the wall. He didn't push him hard enough then.
Yeah, I was about to end the show right there. That would have been the perfect way to end the show. Like, we gotta go, guys. That's the way like Dynamite ends their shows. We gotta go. Oh man. All right. What's next, y'all? Oh, I know what's next. This is what we're gonna end on. E. So right before we recorded the pod, he's like, "Did you finish watching Collision?" I'm like, "I watched the majority of them. I didn't get a chance to get to the main event just because I want to have like, I'm 99% sure title didn't change hands, but I want to be able to just watch them work without having like distractions or anything. So I watched the rest of the show, which it was pretty okay. It was actually a good Collision show." And E said, "Go ahead, E."
I turned that show off.
At what point though? What minute mark did you turn off?
I don't even know where I was at in the show because I wasn't paying attention to after the first segment. It couldn't keep my attention, but I stopped officially watching with Juice and Christopher Daniels. I'm like, I can't do this. Christopher Daniels.
I get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like, but I was like, that was gonna be really ignorant for me to say. But when I looked up and I'm like. So we talk about how Collision lost it or is losing its steam, its vigor, because you have Christopher Daniels wrestling, and that is no slide at him because he's a great wrestler. But I have no investment in him in today.
And we
wrestling.
We know Daniels is a legend.
He's a producer, isn't he too?
Yes, for what he's done. He's the head of talent relations. So like,
why are you wrestling?
It's not about that, but it's like, why are you on my TV? It's the same thing I say with Jared. Why are you on my TV in the year 2023? And it's not a knock on them, but it's like, you have so much talent. Mm-hmm. Just like you got Keith Lee against the one guy that got over the 1 week of saying he was eating butt or whatever he said. Now he does it. Like,
bro, and that's
like, he was on the show against Kyle. Like, it's like, why are some of these?
That's what it was too. Cause see, it was Daniels, and then that's why I'm about to forget. It was that Matt. It was Matt. It was Kyle versus the guy who wants to eat people's booty holes. Yep. And this is what he's doing. He's motioning, pulling apart cheeks, and putting his face in his. Like that's what they're giving me on Collision.
It got over 1 week and it was viral, and now we do it every single time. And I'm just like, no. Like I know if I'm going to spend time on a Saturday night watching, that's not it. It's funny though. The reason why I wanted you to bring that up was because you and I both went from about a month and a half ago of saying, man, Collision's got it. Collision is, I can only watch one show a week. It's Collision. And as wrestling does, it goes in cycles. Now it's like, oh, I'm good with taping Collision every single week and watching it Sunday. Unless something changes, I'm good with just, there's nothing that I have to watch live on these shows. And they still did some good things. I thought Sky and, I'm about to call her Britt, and Chris had a great match. They had a really strong match. I thought the opening segment was a ton of fun, because you saw Edge or you saw Adam and Starks go at it on the mic. You know, of course, that we knew that wasn't scripted.
He was trying his hardest to bury that man.
Yeah, but that's the kind of fun stuff, like pushing each other.
But that was
but yeah, overall, I was just like, ugh.
No, I'm not spending a Saturday. I always know I'm not spending a Saturday night for sure. Listening to a guy talk about he want to eat booty hole, and then watching Christopher Daniels. I'm not going to do it Sunday morning either. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna spend this hour with my family instead of watching a man talk about he want to eat butt and watching Christopher Daniels wrestle. I'm good. I've already seen at least 6 hours of great wrestling this week alone. I'm not going to spend an hour of wrestling watching mediocre, bad wrestling.
Sorry, I just scrolled there.
We miss you, CM Punk.
We do.
I don't, but listen, you just made me scroll right there. And you talking about hearing a man eating butt. So would have been different if they. No, I'm not gonna do it. Never mind.
No, say it.
So would it be different if my man who was eating butt said that he's gonna eat Sky Blue's butt. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, I don't want to see him do it.
Yeah, but it makes it completely different.
That's what I'm saying. So that's not fair.
It's completely different. And that's the kind of content I'm here for.
I mean, if you can get off eating booty, does it really?
That's the kind of content I'm here for. And I ain't got to drop when it comes to talking about eating Sky Blue's booty. But if I had a drop, I would put it right there. And now it's time to go. We got to get out of here. Send us home, somebody.
I can't do that. Sorry.
Send us home.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you next week.
Wait, we got to plug? No, we got to plug the socials.
You did already. Pay attention. Pay attention.
No, you didn't. You introduced the show.
I can't wait for you to listen back and then be like, oh, you did do it. Just like your Baron Corbin take. Just like we're going to end it the way we should have started it.
No, hold on.
Hold
on.
You're trash.
Wait. No,
And
don't end the show yet. Don't end the show.
That is it.
Music.
I'm ending it.
Don't end it. We got to plug our socials. We got to plug our socials.
It's
So
done.
follow us at X